This we have already learned in first chapter, that Fe is equal to K Q1 Q2 by R square. So K is square by R square. Centripetal force is mv square by R. So we balance this force because centripetal force is given by this electrostatic force. So mv square by R is equal to K square by R square. So if you can see here, we cancel this R and R. I'll get mv square is equal to K square by R. So this is important. mv square is equal to K square by R. Now see the second postulate. As we learnt, second postulate, electron can be reside only on this certain discrete orbits, that we say it as a stationary orbit because they are non-radiating. Remember what was the failure of Rutherford's model, that electrons can radiate out energy and eventually follow the spiral path and fall in the nucleus. But as per this Rutherford's Bohr's model, the electron will reside only on that discrete orbits, or we say it's non-radiating orbits, which we name it as a stationary orbit, where angular momentum is integral multiple of nh by 2 pi. So angular momentum mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi, where n, as I said, it's called principal quantum number, value is 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now the third postulate of Bohr, that electron jumps from one stationary orbit of higher energy to the another stationary orbit of lower energy. See it, EI stands for initial energy level, EF stands for final energy level. So obviously you can see here, when electron is jumped from higher energy level to the when electron jump from higher energy level EI to the final energy level EF, the energy is released. You can see here it is in terms of photon h nu. So we give the equation EI minus EF is equal to h nu, and this is known as Bohr's frequency condition. Now see, already we learned this formula, mv square is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught square by R. Also we know V is equal, mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. So make V as the subject from here and substitute in this equation. So we know it, V is equal to nh upon 2 pi mr, mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. तो V को सब्जेक्ट बनाओगे तो ये mvr यहाँ डिनोमिनेटर में जाएगा, तो V is equal to nh by 2 pi mr, and we get this equation mv square. तो V की जगह ये वैल्यू सब्स्टिट्यूट कर लिया, तो mv square is equal to k square by r. Now simplify this, what we are going to get is m n square h square upon 4 pi m square r square 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught square by r. जो कैंसिल होता है कैंसिल कर लो, pi pi will get cancel, 4 will get cancel, and simplify it. You are going to get the equation as r is equal to epsilon naught n square h square upon pi m square. Very important point to be noted. What is r here? R is the radius of for orbit of electron in hydrogen atom. In general, Rn is equal to epsilon naught n square h square upon pi m square. So you can observe, very important, Rn directly proportional to the n square. The radius of electron, right? Now let us study about the energy of electron. So see, the energy of electron, we know it has, when it is in the orbit, it is total energy is sum of kinetic energy and potential energy. So total energy E is equal to kinetic energy K plus potential energy U. Now kinetic energy K is mv square, and we know the formula mv square इज इक्वल टू 1/4 पाई स्क्वायर बाई आर. सो अगर दोनों साइड हाफ हाफ कर देंगे तो आई विल गेट द फॉर्मूला फॉर काइनेटिक एनर्जी, दैट इज़ 1/8 पाई एप्सिलॉन नॉट स्क्वायर बाई आर. सो दिस इज हाउ आई एम गेटिंग द वैल्यू काइनेटिक एनर्जी 1/8 पाई एप्सिलॉन नॉट स्क्वायर बाई आर. नाउ potential energy as we have learned in electrostatic, K Q1 Q2 by R. So K 1/4 pi epsilon Q1 and Q2. Q1 is the charge on proton, Q2 is charge of electron in case of hydrogen atom upon R. So minus 1/4 pi epsilon naught square by R. So if you add both equation 6 and 7, we are going to get the total energy. So if you observed here, total energy is minus of kinetic energy, and this you can remember it like in gravitation last year you had learned. Potential energy gmm by 2r. So here in general the total energy is square upon 8/4 pi epsilon naught Rn. Now here substitute the value of R. This is already my value of R. So when I substitute the value of R here and I simplify it, I'm going to get it. Bache, are you getting this? In general, nth En Rn, and substitute the value of Rn epsilon naught n square h square upon pi m square here, right? So I'm going to get the total energy En is equal to minus m e raised to 4 8 epsilon naught n square h square. Very important point to be noted. The energy, total energy of electron in any orbit is proportional to 1 by n square. Radius is directly proportional to the n square. Radius is directly proportional to the n square, while energy is inversely proportional to 1/n square. Point number 2 to be noted. What is this negative sign signifies? The negative sign signifies that why the energy of electron in the orbit is negative, because it is bounded with the nucleus. The electron is bounded with the nucleus, right? And as I said, En is proportional to 1 by n square. मतलब कि it is larger, it becomes larger, energy becomes larger, the electron has minimum energy for innermost orbit and larger energy for outermost orbit. Again I repeat, electron has minimum energy with innermost orbit. We will study it. The innermost orbit has minus 13.6 electron volt energy. Remember, the minus 13.6, say second energy level will be having as how much energy? First level has minus 13.6, second will have minus 3.4. So you know it, minus 13.6 is less than minus 3.4. So the innermost electron have minimum energy because it is a negative sign. It means you need to give that large amount of energy to remove the electron from the innermost orbit. Now see here, h nu is equal to ei minus ef. That is the third postulate of Bohr, that energy emitted h nu is equal to ei minus ef. So h nu, we already learned the formula of energy in the level me minus me square 8 epsilon naught square n square h square. So I have this energy h nu is equal to minus me raised to 4 8 epsilon naught square ni square and nf square. ये सारा कॉमन निकाल दिया, m e raised to 4 8 epsilon naught square n square, तो nf square minus ni square, राइट. सो h न्यू था तो इसमें से h को यहाँ ले लिया तो ये h स्क्वायर क्या बन गया, दिस h स्क्वायर बिकेम h क्यूब, बिकॉज ये h न्यू था, h न्यू का h एक यहाँ ले लिया. नाउ वी नो इट, फ्रीक्वेंसी इज c बाय लैम्डा, तो c बाय लैम्डा इज दिस, तो c को हटा देंगे तो c यहाँ आ जाएगा डिनोमिनेटर में. तो 1 बाय लैम्डा इज me raised to 4 8 epsilon naught square c h cube nf square minus ni square, and this whole is known as Rydberg's constant. So see this, initially Balmer could not explain this mathematically. Now the same formula which he obtained empirically, there only the difference was this was 2 square, right? The final level was second energy level, from all higher energy level to second. But it is not necessary that only the electron can jump from any higher energy level to the second. It can be any transaction possible, and that is why in general we obtain this formula theoretically, that 1 by lambda is equal to r 1 upon nf square minus 1 upon ni square, where r is the Rydberg's constant, and fortunately the value of r nearly matches with what the Balmer obtained. So Balmer, he could explain only visible light, but other transactions which are possible in ultraviolet region and infrared region was later on found. We will study that later on little bit. Now see here the speed of electron. So these are the two most important formula. Angular momentum, you should remember it even in your dreams. Angular momentum integral multiple of h by 2 pi. So mvr nh by 2 pi. So velocity v is nh upon 2 pi mr. And this already we learnt, mv square by r is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught square by r square. So substitute this value of, or you can divide mv square by v. So this m and m will get cancelled and ek velocity vv will get cancelled. You are going to get the formula of velocity as e square upon 2 epsilon naught nh. Very important again. Now see here, radius is directly proportional to n square, energy is inversely proportional to n square, while velocity is inversely proportional to the n. So what I am doing in this equation is Vn is equal to e square upon 2 epsilon naught nh. I multiply and divide it by c and c, and I take n outside, and I label this whatever is the constant, because E charge on electron 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19, epsilon permittivity 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12, C speed of light, and H Planck constant. These all are constant, and that is named as fine structure constant, and value of that is turned out to be 1 upon 137. So if I substitute that value here, my Vn is c by n alpha for velocity of electron in the innermost orbit. If I take n is equal to 1, that is c by 1, and alpha key value, as I told, fine structure constant 1 upon 137. So V1 is 1 upon 137 times speed of light. That is you can imagine how fast electrons are moving in the innermost orbit. And in general, Vn is equal to V1 by n, right? So time period, what is time period? So time period, it is distance upon time. So time period of electron in nth orbit, time period is 2 pi r अपॉन वेलोसिटी. तो आर एन की जगह हम लोग लिखेंगे, एज आई टोल्ड, इट इज़ डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू एन स्क्वायर एंड दिस इज़ इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल टू एन. सो ये एन डिनोमिनेटर ऑफ डिनोमिनेटर ऊपर जाएगा, एन क्यूब बन जाएगा. मतलब कि टाइम पीरियड इज़ डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू एन क्यूब. बच्चे, दिस 4 थिंग्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आई रिपीट इट अगेन. रेडियस डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू एन स्क्वायर. वेलोसिटी, it's inversely proportional to 1 upon n. Energy inversely proportional to 1 upon n square, and time period directly proportional to the n cube.